It was really good. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate in particular your support. Like you were the first one that I spoke to. Like I ended up on one of these calls and I was asking a whole bunch of questions and you had remembered me. So you were the one that reached out to me and we had a whole discussion and that's that kind of started the journey. So I appreciate you very much. So I am originally from California in the States, and I had come over here to the UK to study at Brunel to get a master's in management, specializing in technology and innovation. And I'm still doing that, but I kind of wanted to have a game plan for, what happens after that. So I'm in my dissertation period now, and I was starting to think about what my other options would be. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go back into what I was doing before. My original background is in sort of web hosting and cloud computing. I was managing teams and like left that behind and didn't know what I was gonna do when I came to the UK. And yeah, so that's kind of how it ended up. And I was so afraid that I was gonna have to take a massive pay cut in order to even get back into something remotely close to what I was doing, and that hasn't been the case at all. So yeah, correct. So I come here as an international student. I have a student visa, which has some unfortunate restrictions around it. And trying to find the right job and the right like field and the right kind of situation to get around all of that was like very stressful for me. I think that's one of the things that we spoke about when I was speaking to you for the first time. Yeah, it's something that a lot of students struggle with, and like I really didn't, the way that it worked out, I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that anymore. So currently, for right now, until my dissertation is finished, while I'm in term time, what is considered term time, I can only work 20 hours a week. Outside of term time or once your dissertation is submitted, you can actually work full time, but like there's a lot of paperwork around that and just a lot of compliance issues that a lot of companies don't want to deal with. And then, a lot of companies don't offer the tier 2 sponsorship or the work visa. So that's kind of like your other option besides, once the student visa runs out, you can either apply for a post-study work visa, which gives you 2 additional years. And the intention of that is basically to find a job and to decide whether you want to stay in the UK permanently or not, or find a sponsored job immediately. So yeah, everyone that I've spoken to has really shown me how to position myself, and that's one of the things that you really take a lot of time in. Like my project hasn't even technically started. It's not supposed to start for another 10 days. Okay. And so I had a bunch of time. I think I originally missed the date that I was supposed to start because I was kind of like trying to figure out finances and like all of these things that I know you guys have a bunch of questions about. But like, I just dove into the sort of like revise your CV module. I went through that whole thing. I realized that what I thought I was doing in terms of translating my skills wasn't the right thing. Like I thought I had been doing it right all along and it wasn't working. So I just followed those videos and I attended so many of the CV coaching calls with Anissa. Like those were so helpful. Even when I wasn't having mine reviewed, which I did a few times, I listened to the feedback that she gave other people, and that was very helpful. And then sort of like by accident, one of those versions of my CV that I was in the middle of revising kind of got out there, and I got headhunted by this retail consultant agency, and they were like, you seem like a great fit. They sent me the job description. I had an interview scheduled the next day. I actually had to reschedule the interview due to a personal issue, and I thought like, oh my God, I like totally messed up my chance. And they were like, no, it's fine. We still want to chat to you. And in the interview, I did what you teach in the program, where when they ask you to talk about what's on your CV or to tell about yourself, to just be very detailed. And I could see their faces get very, very excited. And like the rest of the interview was basically just talking about the things that I had actively done and what they needed. And when I said, yeah, so I'm on the student visa and like I want to stay in the UK, and they were like, yeah, sure, we could help you with that, no problem. And it kind of went from there. And then, within 2 hours of that interview, I had a phone call that I had the job, and I signed the contract, and I was literally in a kickoff meeting like within hours, like the next day. So Yeah, it's been a very interesting journey. Everyone that I've spoken to basically says exactly the opposite, especially with, be confident, especially if you have skills. Even if you haven't translated them properly, there is a way to do that. Go for those roles, do the interviews. Even if you don't get it, it's worthy of practice. And the more practice that you have, you're just going to continue to improve, and you don't have to settle for junior roles or a pay cut or any kind of duties that you don't necessarily feel comfortable doing. I mean, my leadership is super supportive. I mean, they basically told me in the interview when I asked, one of the questions that Raj really drove home that he asks a lot in his interviews when he's kind of closing out, and they ask if you have any questions, is like, what are the development opportunities and what are the deliverables that I'm going to be responsible for? I asked those questions, and they spent a lot of time talking to me about development opportunities, and basically said, you can do your own development plan, and we will support you in any certifications that you want to receive, as long as you continue to, perform well in your role, which is great, because that's in addition to the visa sponsorship that they offered. Well, I think if you would have asked me before, I probably would have said, like, I'm really looking forward to the project. I think that's going to bring a lot of value, and I'm still looking forward to doing it, like, even though I'm working. But I think everything has been valuable, but I really liked a lot of the different types of content that I got on the 2-day webinar. And I just think that the kind of continued coaching calls that you guys provide, especially when you're in the early stages and you're getting your CV ready and you're kind of getting all of your processes down, and like maybe you've never interviewed in this kind of way, or maybe you have and you just don't feel confident about it. Like the way that you guys lay it out, it brushes all of that aside, and it's very, very helpful. So I would say don't give up. Like, even if you don't feel like you have experience, there's something that you have done in a previous role that you can translate in some kind of way. And if an employer really likes you, if you show up and you're excited about the role, excited about the opportunities, and you want to have that conversation, have the conversation. Like, like the previous guest said, like, all they could say is no, and you only really need one yes. So just be persistent. Also, like, if you're on the fence about it, I wasn't really on the fence about it. I knew immediately that I wanted to do it. We just had to figure out the finances and if the timing was right. But like, just know that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Like, don't spend the money and just come in here and go through the videos and then say, oh, well, it didn't work for me. Like, you still have to put the effort in. You should still attend the coaching calls, even if you're not getting things reviewed. Like, I haven't done any like job support calls yet, just because I haven't had brain space to kind of even figure out if there's anything else that I need to ask, but I definitely still want to take advantage of that. And I know it's there for me, but like, you still have to put the work in. But if you do that, it will pay off